This story has been recorded at an Addictive Eaters Anonymous meeting in the UK. You can email us at contact@aeainfo.org.
Okay, my name is Denise. I am an addictive eater. Very grateful to be here tonight in a room with people who are just like me, and for me it's about, accepting that I am an addictive eater, accepting that I don't know how to eat safely. For many, many, many years, I struggled with food. I didn't want anyone else to see that I struggled with food. So for me, it manifested in the end with bulimia. So early days, right away back to my early childhood. I remember as a young child, I would be obsessed with how I ate, what I ate. If I had a bag of sweets, I had to inspect every single sweet before I ate it. A couple of my family members noticed this and would comment on it. And it's only now that I've come to accept who I am, that, these memories come back and remind me, yeah, that's right, other people seen this before I did, before I was aware or was able to admit it to myself, that I'm powerless over food, and my life was certainly manageable by the time I got to Addictive Eaters Anonymous. From that young child who, a lot of my memories, especially emotional ones, were centred around food. That just, when I was a teenager, it was always about, right, I can't be fat. I just can't be fat. People can't see, because my attitude towards being larger, being fat was, you've lost control. And, people could see there was something not quite right. So for me, it was more of a concern about what other people thought of me, rather than what I thought of myself. That didn't even come into it. It was just about, what did you really think of me? Did you like me? So every day I was proving that I was okay. I was proving that I could do this thing, talking to people, having relationships, going out and working, even from a school age, going to school. And I'd never ever felt quite right. Something in me, I'm part of a family that's, quite large, and I just never felt quite right. Part of it, I didn't feel right in younger school age either. When I was in any group setting, I just felt as though I was different from everyone else. And my relationship with food was always about trying to control it. So by the time I got into my 30s, bulimia came. And the purging came, and, I thought I was being really clever when I was with people. It would always be eat with people, look normal, and then just go and visit the bathroom afterwards, just go to the toilet. So again, it was always about how the image was for me, how did people see me? The smile was always put on my face. People would often say, oh, you're an old head and young shoulders, and, my pretense was working. But something inside me was just becoming so empty. Materially and, worldly success was getting better and better. And, within me, I was just crumbling, absolutely crumbling. So by the time I'd found Addictive Eaters Anonymous, I was just an empty shell of a woman. I was 42 years old. You know, I was very much alone because I certainly didn't know how to do relationships. There's no doubt about that. My adult daughter was away from this point. You know, she'd moved on in a very successful way, and I was left alone with myself. So what was I going to do now? You know, it just became so extreme. You know, it was progressing. People started noticing around about me, and I just didn't know what to do. And then, you know, I met a woman who, through another 12-step fellowship, I was in other 12-step fellowships. I'd heard about the 12-step, you know, spiritual program, and I thought I was living it. And I met this woman in another food fellowship, and she was different, you know, and I was just drawn right to her, and I spoke to her right away. And I asked her for help. I believe that was the first time in my life that I'd asked somebody for help. My first experience of it. And, you know, she gave me her phone number, and I was in contact with her every day since then. And that was 4 years ago. And he was somebody that had a solution. You know, and there's nothing any different that's changed from, you know, what I was. For me, Addictive Eaters Anonymous, it's patterned after that of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's the programme of recovery is contained in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the people that were helping me, you know, the other women that I contact each day who have experienced the same misery and desperateness and, you know, this desperate loneliness of, you know, just trying to get through each day, but being exhausted at the end of the day when I come back from being with people because I was always pretending. And they were saying to me the same things. We're not doing anything different from what they'd done 80 years ago, Denise. It's just, for us, it's one addictive eater helping another addictive eater for no other purpose other than to say, I have a solution today and I just need to pass it on to you. That's it. There's nothing else in this. And yeah, that's what's been going on since then. You know, there's a worldwide fellowship on offer here. And I'm very grateful that, you know, somebody brought it to myself. And I didn't know about the illness of addiction. I didn't know that I had to be free from all mind-altering substances and food, you know, free from addictive eating. And I didn't know I could be. I didn't know I didn't have to wake up in the morning and obsess about food when I'm, you know, when I'm going to not eat or when I'm going to go to the toilet and purge or, you know, when will I binge. For me, my heaven at that time before I came here was a Saturday night in, closing the blinds, the curtains, having a good movie on or, you know, a good programme on TV and in alone with loads of food, massive binge, you know, savoury to sweet to juice to, you know, anything at all that I wanted. But I'm okay because I'm not drinking. I'm okay because I'm not taking drugs. You know, and that was my heaven. That was my solution to it. And then going to the toilet every, you know, a few times throughout that night. And, you know, bringing whatever I ate up, coming back down the stairs and starting that again. That was me. You know, I wasn't with people. You know, I didn't have to pretend anymore. So that was my solution to life, was to sit with a room full of food and, you know, watch mindless TV. I didn't know that life could be so much more. I didn't know that I was capable of having relationships with others. I didn't know anything about, you know, having contact with a power that was greater than myself. And that contact with a power that greater than myself allows me to be around people, to be comfortable in my own skin, to not have to prove anything to anyone anymore, to not have to be consumed with what I can eat, what I can't eat, what I'm going to binge, what I'm going to go to the toilet with, what I'm going to get rid of, how am I going to be with that person, what will I tell them about? I can't tell them this. I didn't even know how to be honest with my own family. I had no idea how to do that. I'd actually had no idea how to have fun. Fun had to be controlled. It was like I couldn't allow myself to let go in any situation. Anything at all. Boy, oh boy, I had a lot of growing up to do, And yeah, the programme clearly, just reminds us all the way throughout. This is about finding a power that's greater than ourselves and completely relying on that power. No human power could have relieved, my obsession with food. No human power could have, for me today though, there is so many people in my life that I'm in contact with, other addictive eaters that remind me, it's okay, Denise, you're not alone. There's a power that's greater than you. We're all the same. There's nothing different about you, because this disease that centres in my mind will always tell me I'm different. I'm not as good as you, but I'm a bit better than you, always tells me I'm different. And that could be any room that I'm in. And it's all lies. The main problem for me does centre in the mind. And as long as I'm reminded every day when I pick up, the phone every day to speak to another addictive eater, I'm reminded you don't have to listen to your thoughts, Denise. None of them are real. It's only your imagination. You don't need the food. You don't need, all of those other behaviours of, overeating and visiting the bathroom and things like that. So for me, the solution is always connecting with another addictive eater. And they remind me of the true solution of a power that's greater than myself. And by the gift of that power, I've been coming here now 4 years. I have the gift of sobriety in Addictive Eaters Anonymous. I'm not actually consumed with myself 24/7. It's there a lot of the time. And that's why I have to, ask for help a lot of the time as well. Because I certainly don't have it made in here. It talks about a daily reprieve, and I'm helped with that every day. And from someone who was, I would have called myself an island, a fiercely independent woman who really didn't have a clue, but she presented that way to everyone else round about her. And today it's like I don't have to fake it anymore. I can admit to others, I really don't know how to do this. I've got this situation and I don't know how to talk to this person, or, this is what the thinking's telling me. Can you help me out here? So I'm very grateful today that, Addictive Eaters Anonymous is available. Other members are available. And I'm always reminded of the common solution and the common problem. I've got a disease that centres in my mind, and there's a power greater than myself that has restored me to sanity today, just for this one day. And I truly accept that. And I'm grateful for everybody being here tonight. Thanks for listening.